There comes a sacred moment in every life when heaven whispers, "It is done." You may not have seen the sign yet, but something has already shifted in your favor. The movement began in the unseen, in consciousness, and now the visible world must obey. Your life is not governed by chance, but by divine design. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was never meant to destroy you. It was calibrating you. You were being refined for this moment, where everything that once seemed against you now bends toward your good. The shift didn't begin when circumstances changed. It began when you changed within. When you stopped praying for proof and began resting in faith. When you stopped rehearsing lack and started embodying abundance. That's when heaven moved. That's when the script of your reality began to rewrite itself. Right now, even as you listen, the universe is rearranging the stage of your life. Conversations are being divinely orchestrated. People you haven't met yet are being positioned. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach are being magnetized to your name. You are no longer striving for manifestation. You are resting in fulfillment. The miracle isn't coming someday. It's already on the way, vibrating toward you. Feel it. Believe it. Rest in the knowing that what's yours cannot be lost. What you have imagined in faith must become flesh. What you have felt as true must reveal itself in your world. Stop looking for signs and start living as if it's already done. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting your inner assumption. So when you walk in certainty, the world must yield. The moment you declare, "It's already mine," the universe bows to that decree. The favor of God has shifted your direction. The tide has turned in your name. Every closed door was simply divine redirection. Every ending a setup for your next elevation. So stand still and know you are already in the flow of answered prayer. What once felt like resistance is now releasing into grace. The season has changed. The atmosphere has shifted. And the evidence will soon surround you. Your only task now is to remain in the state of fulfillment, to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to act, speak, and breathe as if the miracle has already landed, because in truth, it has. What's unfolding for you is not random, it's revelation. Heaven has already whispered yes, and the echo of that yes is about to thunder through your reality. The shift is done, the miracle is moving, and everything is now working in your favor. The invisible shift has already happened. Long before your senses could recognize any evidence, a divine rearrangement took place in the unseen. What you are witnessing in your outer world is merely the echo of what has already been established within. Every transformation, every blessing, every breakthrough begins not with what you can touch or see, but with what you have chosen to believe and feel as true. The outer world is a mirror. It reflects. It doesn't create. The cause of all visible change lies in the invisible realm of consciousness. The moment you changed your inner conversation, the moment you dared to see yourself as favored, healed, chosen, and abundant, the shift began. Reality started bending itself around your new assumption. You may not have recognized it at first because the old conditions still seemed loud, But make no mistake, once the internal alignment occurs, the external world has no choice but to follow. The invisible shift is the real event. The visible manifestation is only the delayed response. When you plant a seed in the soil, you do not see immediate growth above ground. Yet, beneath the surface, an invisible process is already underway. Roots are spreading, structure is forming, and life is preparing to emerge. The same is true for your desires. The unseen realm of imagination and faith is the fertile ground where your new reality is germinating. The fact that you do not yet see it means nothing. The seed has taken root. The invisible work is complete. And what's been decreed in spirit must eventually reveal itself in matter. This is why you can rest. You no longer need to strive, chase, or force outcomes. You need only to remain faithful to the unseen truth that the shift has already occurred. Everything you desire already exists in potential form, and your belief is the bridge that calls it into visibility. The universe does not respond to need, it responds to knowing. When you know it is done, life begins to echo that knowing through events, people, and opportunities perfectly timed for your path. The invisible shift is a sacred reminder that reality is not fixed. It's fluid, responsive, and alive. You are the center of creation, shaping it moment by moment through your awareness. When you hold the feeling of fulfillment, when you dwell in the end of your desire and see from it rather than toward it, you are walking in divine authority. The unseen is already bowed to your assumption. The outer world is simply catching up. So release the urge to check for progress. Stop asking when and start declaring now. The change you've been praying for has already occurred in the only place that truly matters. Everything else is the echo, the ripple, the visible confirmation of an invisible shift that heaven has already sealed in your favor. You are now in divine alignment. Life itself is quietly rearranging to match the new frequency of your belief. Every detail, every encounter, every circumstance is being orchestrated with precision to reflect the shift that has occurred within you. You have entered a state where your inner conviction has become the command that the universe must obey. What once felt chaotic or uncertain is now revealing its hidden order. Everything is working in harmony with the truth you have accepted about yourself and your destiny. When you align with faith, you no longer move through life as a seeker, trying to make things happen. You move as a creator, allowing what's meant for you to find its perfect way. The energy you carry is the language through which the universe listens and responds. As you elevate your belief, you elevate your frequency, and that new vibration calls forth matching experiences. You don't chase them, they begin to flow toward you. People appear, doors open, and timing becomes effortless because the outer world must organize itself according to the inner command of your belief. Divine alignment does not mean everything looks perfect immediately. It means that everything, even what seems uncomfortable, is now serving your higher good. What was once resistance is now redirection. What seemed delayed is now being perfectly timed. The very situations that once frustrated you are being rewritten to favor your growth and manifestation. This is the sacred dance of alignment, not control, but cooperation with divine order. You may not see the full picture yet, but the pattern is forming beautifully beneath the surface. The unseen realm has already responded to your new state of consciousness. Your prayers, your affirmations, your inner knowing have sent a signal that heaven could not ignore. Life is not against you. It is adjusting itself to reflect the truth that you have dared to believe. You are no longer aligned with fear or lack. You are aligned with abundance, peace, and purpose. Every divine alignment begins with an inner shift, a quiet yes to faith. That yes is powerful enough to move worlds. It is the moment when you stop doubting and start trusting that what is unfolding is not random but intentional. When you hold the feeling of completion, life must respond with completion. When you live as though it's already done, every path, person, and possibility begins to move in agreement with your assumption. You are now walking in rhythm with divine timing. There is no more struggle, no more striving, only alignment. The universe is fluent in the language of your belief, and your new vibration has already called forth experiences of favor, peace, and fulfillment. Everything you need is on its way, drawn magnetically by the frequency of your faith. Rest in this truth. Life is not falling apart, it's falling into place. You are now in divine alignment, and everything is moving beautifully in your favor. Miracles are not accidents or rare interventions reserved for a chosen few. They are the natural consequence of unwavering faith. The moment you begin to dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, you set into motion an unseen power that cannot fail. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is the quiet certainty that what you have imagined is already yours. It is the inner rest that knows the outcome is settled, even when the evidence has not yet appeared. When that level of faith takes root, life must conform. The outer world is compelled to rearrange itself in obedience to the inner conviction. True faith does not beg or plead. It assumes and rests. It is the sacred posture of the soul that declares it is done and lives from that reality. When you live in the end, when you emotionally and mentally occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, you become the embodiment of your answered prayer. Life, being a mirror of your inner state, reflects it back through opportunities, synchronicities, and outcomes that align perfectly with your belief. Miracles are not violations of natural law. They are the higher law of faith manifesting through you. The world calls it impossible because it cannot see the unseen cause. But faith operates from another dimension. It speaks to the unseen as though it were visible, and by doing so it compels the unseen to become seen. What you believe and feel as real and your imagination must one day stand before you in the physical. Every miracle begins with an assumption, an inner acceptance that the desire is already fulfilled. When you hold that feeling with consistency, when you refuse to be swayed by appearances, you become a vessel for divine power to flow through. You no longer wait for proof to believe. You believe and therefore create proof. The unseen responds instantly, though the outer world reveals it gradually. Yet the timing never matters. When you live from the end, because your heart already knows it's complete. Faith is not about effort. It's about awareness. It's about remaining conscious of the truth that the miracle is already yours. Even when circumstances appear unchanged, faith whispers, I know what I have seen within. And that inner seeing is more real than any physical evidence. The world you see is the echo of past belief. The world you are feeling now is the prophecy of what is to come. So dwell in the feeling of already having. See yourself as already healed, already provided for, already restored. Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude of completion. Let that energy radiate through your being until it becomes your natural state. In that moment, you are in perfect harmony with divine law. And miracles will not only happen to you, they will happen through you. For faith is creation, and to live in faith is to live in the miraculous. The doors that closed were never rejections, they were redirections. Every ending you faced was not the collapse of your destiny, but the careful editing of it. Life, in its divine intelligence, knew that certain paths could not carry the magnitude of the blessing designed for you. What you thought was loss was actually liberation. The door that shut did not block your future, it protected it. You were being guided, refined, and positioned for greater alignment with the favor that now seeks expression in your life. When a season ends, the human tendency is to mourn what's gone, to question why things had to fall apart. But what if nothing fell apart? What if everything fell into divine order? Sometimes heaven must close what you were willing to settle for to make room for what you were truly created for. Those doors that seemed so promising but suddenly shut were never punishment, they were preservation. The universe knew what you couldn't yet see, that your expansion required release. Every divine edit, though painful, was purposeful. You were being rewritten for elevation. The story that once defined you could no longer hold the depth of who you are becoming. Endings have a way of feeling final, but in truth, they are thresholds, the quiet preparation for resurrection. When something leaves your life, it creates the sacred space needed for something greater to arrive. The moment you stop fighting the closure, you begin to see the wisdom within it. The relationship that ended, the job that dissolved, the opportunity that slipped away, each was a divine punctuation mark. Not the end of your story, but a pause before the next chapter. Those moments of confusion were really moments of construction. While you were questioning what went wrong, life was rearranging what could finally go right. You were being aligned with higher purpose, greater fulfillment, and deeper peace. Understand this: divine favor often hides behind disruption. What you call endings, heaven calls openings. Every rejection carried the hidden message: there is more prepared for you. The universe doesn't take from you to punish. It removes to multiply. Sometimes the weight of the old must be lifted, so your hands are free to receive the new. You are not who you were when those doors closed. You have evolved, expanded, and awakened. You now stand at the threshold of greater opportunity because the old chapters made you ready. What left your life created the exact vacancy that favor needed to fill. So bless the doors that closed, for they were acts of divine mercy. Bless the endings, for they made space for new beginnings. Nothing was lost, only exchanged for something higher. The story of your life is being rewritten with grace, and every so-called ending was a divine edit, preparing you for the beautiful chapter of favor that is now unfolding before you. In this, you don't chase what is already yours. You align with it through awareness. The moment you assume it is done, the universe begins its quiet, miraculous work of bringing it into visibility. Everything you desire is not outside of you, waiting to be pursued. It already exists in the unseen field of potential. What brings it into your experience is not effort, struggle, or striving, but conscious awareness of its reality. You attract not by action alone, but by vibration, by being in harmony with the frequency of what you desire. Chasing comes from the belief that something is missing, that you are separate from what you want. But awareness operates from the knowing that nothing is missing, that what you have imagined already exists in the invisible, and your recognition of that truth is the key that opens the door. When you assume it is done, you shift from longing to possessing, from wishing to being. In that instant, the outer world must begin to conform to the inner certainty. Life mirrors your dominant state of consciousness. When your awareness rests in lack, life echoes lack. When it rests in fulfillment, life must echo fulfillment. This is the sacred law that governs manifestation, not a mechanical process, but a spiritual alignment. The universe does not respond to force, it responds to faith. The more you chase, the more you affirm distance. The more you rest in the feeling of having, the more effortlessly you draw your desire to you. You attract through being, not begging. When your inner dialogue shifts from "I hope it happens" to "it has already happened," a vibrational match is created. Invisible threads begin to move, unseen connections form, and life starts to mirror your assumption. The right people, opportunities, and moments of divine timing begin to appear because your awareness is now a magnet for them. You are no longer looking for evidence. You are living as evidence. This is why awareness is everything. Your outer world cannot exceed the state of consciousness you occupy. The universe is not withholding anything from you. It is simply reflecting your current assumption. When you know it's done, when you feel the reality of it so deeply that it becomes natural, life rushes to make that inner conviction visible. The delay is only the time it takes for the outer to align with the inner. You were never meant to chase love, success, or peace. You were meant to become the embodiment of them. The universe cannot resist the vibration of completion. When you live in the end, it has no choice but to rearrange itself in your favor. So stop striving and start knowing. Stand in the awareness that it's already yours. The moment you do, everything you've been chasing will begin to chase you. For the universe always mirrors the consciousness of the one who dares to believe it is already done. The delay was never denial. What you perceived as waiting was actually sacred orchestration. A divine sequence of events aligning in perfect timing for your highest good. Every moment that felt like pause was preparation. Life was not withholding your blessing, it was weaving it into a masterpiece that could not be rushed. You were not being ignored, you were being refined. The universe was ensuring that when your manifestation arrived, you would not only receive it, but sustain it. In the human mind, delay often feels like resistance, but in truth, it is divine timing performing its silent work. There are lessons, alignments, and unseen connections that must take place before your desire can appear in full glory. Just as a seed must rest beneath the soil before breaking through the surface, your vision needed time to root itself in spiritual depth. You may have been ready in desire, but life was ensuring you were also ready in maturity, awareness, and stability. What looks like nothing happening is often everything happening, just not yet visible. The universe does not operate on your clock. It moves in perfect harmony with divine rhythm. Each delay carried purpose. It redirected you from what was less, protected you from premature success, and strengthened your faith so you could hold greater blessings. The waiting season was not wasted. It was sacred rehearsal for fulfillment. Sometimes, if what you desired had arrived too early, it would have overwhelmed rather than blessed you. You were evolving, expanding, and awakening into the version of yourself capable of carrying that answered prayer with grace. Divine timing is never late, it is exact, arriving the moment both you and your destiny are aligned. The delay taught you patience, faith, surrender, and trust, qualities that anchor miracles into permanence. When you look back, you will see that the detours were divine paths, the pauses were protection, and the timing was perfect. Nothing was random. The conversations, the endings, the redirections, all were threads in a larger tapestry of divine coordination. The universe was not testing your endurance. It was preparing your environment and your spirit for convergence. The delay allowed you to shift from wanting to knowing. It trained your heart to rest in certainty even without evidence. That is the highest state of faith. To be so assured of the unseen that time itself loses its power to discourage you. And once that level of faith is born within, manifestation becomes inevitable. So do not resent the waiting season. It was never punishment. It was positioning. The universe was not saying no. It was saying not yet, because greater alignment is coming. What you thought was delay was actually divine synchronization. The moment you surrendered to that truth, time itself began to bend in your favor. And now everything that once seemed paused is preparing to unfold with effortless precision right on time. Your perfect appointed time. Everything that has unfolded in your life, the waiting, the shifting, the closing of doors, the unseen work, has been divine preparation for this moment. You are now standing in the vibration of fulfillment. The invisible shift has already occurred, and life is aligning itself with the new frequency of your belief. The delays were not denials. They were the universe arranging every detail in perfect order. The challenges refined you. The endings freed you. And your faith has now magnetized the miraculous. You no longer chase what is yours. You attract through awareness. Every time you rest in the knowing that it is already done, creation moves in your favor. You have entered the flow of divine alignment, where everything is working for your highest good, effortlessly, beautifully, and right on time. So stand firm in faith. Expect favor. Speak as though it's complete, because it is. The universe has heard you, and the evidence is already on its way. What was once unseen is about to become undeniable. You are living in answered prayer, and your life will now reflect the glory of that realization. Thank you for listening, and remember, your faith has already shifted everything. The miracle is not coming someday. It's unfolding now.
Good evening, my friends. Tonight I am going to reveal to you the fastest way to destroy doubt that I have ever discovered. Not manage it, not reduce it, but completely kill it in 30 seconds or less. You see, most people spend years battling doubt. They fight it, they struggle against it, they try to overcome it through positive thinking and affirmations. But doubt keeps returning, again and again, like an unwelcome guest who refuses to leave. Tonight, you will learn why doubt persists. And more importantly, you will learn the single technique that murders doubt instantly before it can take root in your consciousness. Are you ready? Then let us begin. First, let me show you what doubt really is. Most people misunderstand doubt completely. They think doubt is a natural response to uncertainty. They think doubt is reasonable, logical, even protective. But this is not true. Doubt is not a response to lack of evidence. Doubt is a response to divided consciousness. Let me explain. When you doubt, what are you really doing? You are holding two opposing realities in your mind simultaneously. You are saying, I have my desire, while simultaneously saying, I do not have my desire. You are affirming fulfillment, while denying fulfillment. You are trying to live in two states at once. And consciousness cannot exist in two states simultaneously. Consciousness must choose. When you try to hold both having and not having, consciousness defaults to the state that feels more real to you. And for most people, the current physical circumstances feel more real than the imagined desire. This is why doubt feels so powerful. It is not actually powerful. It is simply the result of being double-minded, of trying to face two directions at once. Now let me show you the mistake that keeps doubt alive in most people's minds. When doubt appears, most people try to fight it. They try to argue with it. They try to convince themselves it is wrong. They pile affirmations on top of it. They search for evidence to disprove it. They exhaust themselves battling this invisible enemy. But here is what you must understand. Every time you fight doubt, you are giving it reality. Every time you argue with it, you are acknowledging its existence. Every time you try to overcome it, you are admitting it has power over you. You cannot kill doubt by fighting it. Fighting doubt is like fighting your shadow. The more you struggle against it, the more real it becomes. So what is the answer? How do you kill doubt in 30 seconds? The answer is so simple that most people miss it entirely. You do not kill doubt by fighting it. You kill doubt by refusing to recognize its existence. Here's the technique, and I want you to memorize it exactly. The moment doubt appears in your mind, the instant you feel that familiar questioning, that wavering, that but what if this doesn't work, you stop. You do not engage with it. You do not argue with it. You do not try to overcome it. Instead, you immediately return to the assumption of the wish fulfilled. Not after you deal with the doubt. Not after you convince yourself it is wrong. Immediately. Within 30 seconds of doubt appearing, you redirect your entire attention back to the feeling of your desire already accomplished. Let me show you exactly how this works in practice. You are assuming you are wealthy. Suddenly doubt appears. But I have no money in my bank account right now. How can this work? Most people stop here. They engage with the doubt. They try to answer its question. They search for logical explanations. And in doing so, they give the doubt 30 minutes, 30 hours, 30 days to poison their consciousness. But you who are learning this technique, do something different. The instant that doubt appears, within 5 seconds, you catch it. And you say to yourself, calmly and firmly, I am not interested in that conversation. And immediately within the next 25 seconds, you return to your assumption. You feel the reality of being wealthy. You remember what it feels like to have abundance. You occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. You do not argue with the doubt. You do not try to disprove it. You simply refuse to give it your attention, and you immediately redirect that attention to the state you choose to occupy. This is how you kill doubt in 30 seconds. Not by fighting it, but by starving it of the only thing that keeps it alive, your attention. Now let me tell you why the timing is so critical. Doubt is like a seed. When it first appears in your mind, it is small and weak. It has no root. It has no power. It is just a passing thought. But if you give it your attention, if you engage with it, argue with it, try to resolve it, that seed begins to take root. Within 30 seconds of continuous attention, doubt begins to feel real. Within a few minutes, it feels like a legitimate problem. Within an hour, it feels like truth. This is why you must catch doubt immediately. The moment it appears, you have a small window, approximately 30 seconds, where it is still weak, still rootless, still easy to dismiss. If you return to your assumption within this window, the doubt dies. It never gets the chance to take root. It never gets the chance to feel real. It simply withers and disappears, because you gave it no soil to grow in. But if you wait, if you let doubt sit in your consciousness for minutes or hours, it becomes much harder to remove. Not impossible, but harder. This is why speed matters. This is why you must kill doubt the moment it appears. Here is how you train yourself in this technique. For the next 7 days, I want you to become a doubt hunter. Your job is not to eliminate doubt from appearing. That is impossible and unnecessary. Your job is to catch it the moment it appears and redirect within 30 seconds. Keep a simple mental count. When doubt appears, notice it. Say to yourself, there is doubt. Do not judge it. Do not fear it. Simply observe it. Then immediately, and I mean within 5 seconds, dismiss it. You can use any phrase that works for you. Not interested. That's not my reality. I live from the end. I am not entertaining that thought. Then within the remaining 25 seconds, return completely to your assumption. Feel the wish fulfilled. Occupy the state. Make it so real that there is no room for anything else. At first, this will require conscious effort. Doubt will appear frequently. and you will have to catch it again and again. But this is good. Every time you catch doubt and redirect within 30 seconds, you are training your consciousness. You are building a new habit. After a few days of this practice, something remarkable happens. Doubt begins to appear less frequently, and when it does appear, it dissolves almost instantly, because your consciousness has learned that doubt gets no attention, no engagement, no reality in your world. A woman came to me who had been trying to manifest a relationship for 2 years. She said she believed in the law. She practiced her techniques daily. But nothing had manifested, and she was losing hope. I asked her what happened when she practiced her technique. She said, I imagine myself in a loving relationship. I feel how wonderful it is. But then doubt comes, and I spend the rest of the day trying to convince myself it will work, trying to find proof, trying to overcome my doubts. I said, there is your problem. You are spending 2 minutes in the state of the wish fulfilled and 2 hours in the state of doubt. Of course, nothing manifests. You are giving 98% of your attention to the wrong state. I taught her this 30-second technique. I said, for 1 week, your only job is to catch doubt within 30 seconds and return to your assumption. Do not try to overcome doubt. Do not try to resolve it. Just notice it and redirect immediately. She practiced this faithfully, and within 3 days she noticed something astonishing. Her overall feeling about the desire completely changed. She stopped feeling anxious and desperate. She stopped questioning whether it would work. Not because she convinced herself, but because she stopped giving doubt the attention it needed to feel real. Within 2 weeks, she met someone who became exactly the partner she had imagined. But more importantly, she learned something that would serve her for the rest of her life. Doubt has no power except the power you give it through your attention. Let me tell you something profound. Doubt and faith are not opposites. They are the same thing pointed in different directions. Both doubt and faith are forms of assumption. When you doubt, you are assuming something negative will happen. When you have faith, you are assuming something positive will happen. Both are assumptions about the future. Both are creative. Both manifest. The question is not whether you will assume. You are always assuming something. The question is, which assumption will you give your attention to? When you practice the 30-second technique, you are not building faith by destroying doubt. You are simply choosing which assumption to feed with your attention. Doubt appears, redirect within 30 seconds to the wish fulfilled. Doubt appears again, redirect within 30 seconds. Again and again, every single time, without exception. This is not suppression. Suppression is pushing something down while still giving it energy. This is replacement. You are replacing one assumption with another so quickly that the unwanted assumption never gets the chance to take root. Now let me reveal to you what happens when you practice this technique consistently. After some time, it varies for each person, but usually within 2 to 4 weeks, something permanent shifts. Doubt stops appearing frequently, and when it does appear, it dissolves so quickly that you barely notice it. Your consciousness has been retrained. It has learned that the assumption of the wish fulfilled is the only reality you acknowledge. This is not about becoming delusional or ignoring reality. This is about understanding that there are infinite possible realities, and the one you give your sustained attention to is the one that becomes your experienced reality. When doubt appears and you immediately return to your assumption within 30 seconds, you are making a choice. You are saying, this is the reality I choose to occupy. This is the assumption I choose to make real through my attention. And when you make this choice consistently, doubt loses its power completely. It becomes like background noise that you no longer hear. Your consciousness becomes so firmly established in the state of the wish fulfilled that nothing can shake it. So here is what I want you to do. Starting this very moment, choose one desire, just one, that you are working to manifest. It could be anything. Money, love, health, success, anything your heart desires. Now make a firm decision. For the next 7 days, you are going to practice the 30-second rule with absolute commitment. Every single time doubt appears regarding this desire, you will catch it within 5 seconds and redirect to your assumption within the remaining 25 seconds. No exceptions, no negotiations. No, but this doubt seems reasonable, or but I need to figure this out first. Every doubt, every time, immediate redirect within 30 seconds. This is your only job. Not to manifest your desire, not to figure out how it will happen, not to look for signs. just to catch doubt and redirect within 30 seconds. Do this faithfully for 7 days, and you will discover something extraordinary. Doubt will lose its grip on you. The assumption of your wish fulfilled will become natural, effortless, automatic. And when doubt no longer occupies your consciousness, when your entire attention is on the wish fulfilled, manifestation becomes inevitable. The bridge of incidents builds itself. The circumstances rearrange themselves. Your desire appears in your world, because it has become the only reality you acknowledge in your consciousness. Let me leave you with this final truth. Doubt is not your enemy. It is simply misplaced attention. When you learn to redirect that attention immediately, doubt dies. Not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it. Kill doubt by ignoring it. Starve it of your attention. And feed your assumption of the wish fulfilled with every ounce of consciousness you possess. 30 seconds. That is all it takes. Catch the doubt, dismiss it, and return to the wish fulfilled. It takes 30 seconds to kill doubt forever. From this moment forward, you have a new rule. Doubt gets 30 seconds or less. If it appears, it dies within 30 seconds through your immediate return to the state of the wish fulfilled. This is the technique. This is how you kill doubt instantly. How you become unmovable in your assumption. Practice this, and watch as doubt disappears from your consciousness. And when doubt disappears, manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Thank you and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I'll see you in the next video.
There comes a moment in every life when the air itself feels different, when something unseen begins to move, quietly but powerfully. You can't explain it, but you feel it. A stirring deep within, as though an invisible hand is rearranging everything on your behalf. That's not imagination. That's God's hand moving. You may look around and see nothing changing, but beneath the surface, the current of divine power has already begun its work. Every seeming delay, every unanswered prayer was only preparation for this moment, the moment when all things start aligning in your favor. The shift doesn't begin outside of you. It starts within you. The instant you dare to believe that your life is transforming, that you are worthy of the miracle you've been asking for, reality bends to meet that belief. The old version of you begins to dissolve. The doubts lose their grip. A quiet confidence replaces fear, and suddenly the impossible doesn't seem so far away. You don't have to know how it will happen. The how is never your job. It belongs to the divine. Your role is to live from the end, to feel the result as though it's already here, and to trust that what is unseen is far more powerful than what you can see. Because God's hand is moving, doors you thought were closed are about to open. People who seemed distant will appear at the perfect time. Opportunities that felt lost will resurface in unexpected ways. It may look like coincidence, but it's not. It's divine orchestration, the masterpiece of an intelligence that knows exactly what you need, when you need it. So be still inside. Hold the vision, not the fear. Live in the feeling that it's already done, because the moment you do, everything in creation begins to conspire for your good. You are not waiting for change. Change is waiting for you to align with it. God's hand is moving, and soon you look back and realize Every delay was divine timing. Every heartbreak was redirection. Every prayer was heard. Everything is about to change for you. Not someday, but now. Because the unseen hand has already begun its work. Even when everything seems quiet, when nothing appears to move, when your prayers echo back in silence, something extraordinary is happening beneath the surface. The unseen power that governs all of life is never still. It is always moving, always arranging, always orchestrating every detail in divine precision. You may not see the movement, but it is there. You may not understand the delay, but it carries purpose. Life, in its divine intelligence, knows what you are ready for and what you still must grow through to receive what you desire. There is a rhythm to creation that cannot be rushed. When things appear to stand still, it is not a void, it is gestation. Just as the seed lies hidden in the soil long before it breaks through the surface, so too does your manifestation unfold in the unseen before it appears in the visible world. The soil must remain dark, the roots must first form, and the foundation must be laid before the bloom can rise. That period of seeming stillness is sacred. It is where divine order is setting everything in motion. The human mind often mistakes silence for absence, but the silence of God is not absence, it is activity. In the silence, the universe rearranges circumstances, aligns people, and shifts energy so that everything can converge perfectly in time. Every detour, every closed door, every unanswered prayer is not punishment, it is preparation. It is life's way of redirecting you from what is temporary toward what is eternal, from what is unstable toward what will last. When you face delays, it is easy to believe that nothing is working. Yet those delays are often divine protection, a grace disguised as disappointment. Sometimes the door you wanted to open immediately would have led to something smaller than what was destined for you. The unseen power knows what you do not. It sees the full path, the chain of events stretching beyond the limits of your understanding while you look at one moment. It sees the entire picture, and it is arranging every piece with absolute wisdom. So trust the process. When life is silent, be still and know that something is unfolding. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. The forces of creation are gathering in your favor, aligning people, opportunities, and circumstances that will soon reveal themselves in perfect timing. This is not a period of inactivity, it is divine construction. Have faith in what you cannot see, because the unseen world is the birthplace of all that becomes visible. What you feel, what you imagine, what you persist in believing, those are the raw materials the universe uses to shape your reality. The unseen power is molding your future, smoothing the path ahead, and setting into motion blessings you haven't yet conceived of. So breathe deeply and rest in the knowing that the stillness is not empty. It is alive with divine intelligence, and it is working for you. The unseen power is already at work, and soon what was hidden will become your new reality. Everything begins within you. The outer world is not a force acting upon you. It is a mirror reflecting the state of your inner being, the quality of your thoughts, the tone of your inner dialogue, and the emotions you consistently dwell in form the blueprint of your experience. You are not a passive observer of life, you are its creator. Every moment, through your inner conversation, you are giving life to a version of reality. Change the conversation, and you change the world you inhabit. Your inner world is sacred ground. It is where creation begins. Every image you hold, every word you repeat silently to yourself, and every belief you nurture are seeds planted in consciousness. Those seeds cannot remain invisible for long. They must take form. If your inner world is filled with fear, doubt, or resentment, the outer world will echo those vibrations through circumstances that match. But if your inner world becomes a sanctuary of faith, love, and assurance, then life will respond with harmony, abundance, and peace. God moves through your consciousness, not apart from it. The divine does not intervene from the sky or from some distant realm. It expresses through your awareness. Every time you shift your focus from limitation to possibility, from fear to faith, from lack to fulfillment, you open the door for divine movement. God's creative power flows through the channel of your imagination, through the thoughts you entertain and the feelings you sustain. It is not enough to wish for change while your inner conversation remains filled with doubt. If you keep telling yourself stories of failure, rejection, or impossibility, then you are unknowingly commanding life to reflect those stories back to you. The world listens to the tone of your inner dialogue more than the words you speak aloud. The moment you change the tone, the vibration behind your self-talk, you initiate a shift that life must obey. Begin to speak within yourself as one who already possesses the answer. Imagine the end you desire and dwell there mentally, feeling the reality of it until it becomes natural. As you persist in this new inner atmosphere, your outer world will start to bend to match it. Circumstances will rearrange, people will appear, and opportunities will unfold in ways that seem miraculous, but they are not miracles. They are natural expressions of your inner state. This is why two people can live under the same conditions, yet experience entirely different realities. It is not the world that changes, it is the consciousness perceiving it. The one who learns to master the inner realm masters life itself. So guard your inner world as you would guard a treasure. Let your thoughts be peaceful, your imagination rich with possibility, and your self-talk filled with faith. For as you think, you become. As you believe, you create. And as you feel within, so must it appear without. The true shift you seek is not happening outside. It begins the moment you decide to think and feel differently within. Faith is the invisible bridge that connects where you are now to where you are destined to be. It stands between the seen and the unseen, between desire and manifestation. Without faith, your dreams remain distant possibilities. With faith, they become living realities. Faith is not blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is a deep inner knowing that what you have imagined is already yours. Even before any outer evidence appears, it is the unshakable confidence that what you have accepted within must take form without. The unseen becomes visible through unwavering faith. Everything you now see in the world once existed only in someone's imagination, a vision believed in long enough to materialize. Faith turns invisible ideas into tangible outcomes. It does not wait for conditions to prove what is possible. It decides what is possible and allows life to rise up in agreement. This is the creative power of belief. When you believe with your whole heart, when you live from the end in consciousness, you set the creative laws of the universe into motion. Faith is not pretending that everything is fine. It is choosing to trust the process even when nothing seems fine. It is walking through uncertainty with a calm assurance that the unseen is working for you. You do not need to see the path ahead. You only need to know that the next step will appear when it is time. Faith is the strength to stand firm when the senses scream otherwise, to smile when results are delayed, to declare it is done when there is no sign of it. Belief is not waiting for proof. It is the understanding that proof must appear, because your inner world has already accepted it as true. The world outside simply mirrors what you have established within. The moment you claim something in faith, the universe begins rearranging itself to make it real. You may not see the movement, but it is happening. Faith gives direction to that movement. It tells the unseen what shape to take. Doubt, on the other hand, cuts the bridge. It separates you from the fulfillment of your desire because it denies what faith affirms. Every time you waver, you send conflicting signals to the universe. But when you stand in steady conviction, when you hold the end result in your mind and feel its reality, the bridge holds strong, and your miracle must cross it into form. Faith asks for surrender, not struggle. You do not make things happen by force. You allow them to happen through belief. The moment you let go of the need to control and choose to rest in trust, life begins to unfold with divine precision. So hold to your vision. Even when the night is long and the evidence is absent, walk across the bridge of faith. Know that the unseen is becoming seen. The impossible is becoming possible, and what you have accepted within is already finding its way to you. For faith is the bridge between now and the miracle. And once you step onto it with conviction, the miracle must appear. There is a sacred peace that comes when you finally stop trying to figure everything out. When you surrender the need to know how your dream will unfold and simply trust that it will. The human mind craves control. It wants to calculate every step, predict every outcome, and solve every uncertainty. But the path of faith requires a different rhythm. It asks you to release your grip, to stop wrestling with the process, and to let the divine intelligence that governs all things take the lead. The how was never your responsibility. It belongs to God. Your role in creation is not to force, chase, or manipulate the way forward. Your part is to hold the end result in consciousness, to feel it, believe it, and rest in the knowing that it is already done. The universe responds to faith, not to effort. When you insist on controlling every detail, you close the very door through which the miracle wants to enter. But when you let go, when you surrender the how, you make space for divine order to flow freely. Divine order is precise beyond comprehension. It knows the perfect timing, the perfect people, and the perfect circumstances needed to bring your desire to life. You could never plan it so flawlessly. What looks like a detour is often direction. What feels like delay is alignment. Life is not chaotic, it is purposeful, even when it disguises itself as confusion. When you look back, you will see how every disappointment was guiding you closer to the truth of your desire, not away from it. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means trusting that you are being guided by a wisdom far greater than your own. It means releasing the tension that comes from trying to control the invisible. Imagine the relief of knowing you don't have to hold the entire universe together, that there is an infinite intelligence moving the pieces on your behalf. When you rest in that awareness, anxiety fades, doubt softens, and peace takes its place. The moment you stop asking, "How will this happen?" and begin saying, "It is already done," your vibration changes. You shift from resistance to receptivity. You stop trying to make life move and instead allow life to move through you. This is the art of co-creation, trusting the unseen to do its work, while you remain faithful to the end result. Hold the vision, release the method, feel the reality of your fulfilled desire, and then live in the joy of it now. You will find that when you stop controlling the process, things begin to fall into place with ease and grace. People will appear, doors will open, and opportunities will align without your effort. That is divine order, the silent, perfect coordination of all that is meant for you. So breathe deeply, loosen your grip, and trust that God knows the way. You are not meant to carry the weight of how. Your only task is to stay faithful to the feeling that it's already done. And once you do, life will reveal that it always was. You are far more powerful than you realize. Within you moves the same creative force that formed the stars, shaped the oceans, and breathed life into existence. The divine does not act apart from you, it acts through you. You are the vessel, the living instrument through which God expresses creation. Every inspired thought, every intuitive nudge, every deep stirring in your soul is not random. It is the movement of divine intelligence shaping a new reality through your awareness. The hand of God is not something external reaching down from the heavens. It is the invisible current flowing through your consciousness. When you feel a sudden idea, a spark of inspiration, or a surge of faith, that is the divine whispering this way. You are being guided to participate in creation, not as a spectator, but as a co-creator. The thoughts you accept, the images you dwell upon, and the emotions you sustain are the tools God uses to mold your world. So often, people look outside themselves for signs of divine activity, waiting for miracles to appear in the sky or for circumstances to change on their own. Yet the true miracle begins the moment you awaken to your creative power. The realization that God's hand moves through your mind, through your imagination, through your every feeling. You are the channel through which the unseen becomes seen. When you honor this truth, you begin to treat your thoughts with reverence. You understand that to think is to create. A loving thought invites harmony. A fearful one invites confusion. The energy you hold in consciousness radiates outward and shapes the events, people, and opportunities that come into your life. This is not abstract philosophy, it is spiritual law. Every shift in your awareness is the beginning of a shift in your world. That is why inspiration feels so alive, because it is life itself flowing through you. When a new idea fills you with excitement, it is God revealing a path, planting the seed of something yet unseen. When an emotion rises within you with power and clarity, it is not merely a feeling, it is creation in motion. Your role is to trust that movement, to nurture the inspired thought, and to act in alignment with it. The more you acknowledge that God's creative power lives within you, the more naturally you begin to live from it. You stop doubting your intuition, you stop fearing change, and you stop underestimating your significance in the grand design of life. You realize that you are not waiting for divine intervention. You are divine intervention in motion. Every breath, every word, every vision you dare to hold is part of God's unfolding expression. So treat your consciousness as sacred ground. Let your thoughts be guided by love, your imagination by faith, and your emotions by gratitude. For in doing so, you become what you were always meant to be, the vessel of God's creative power, through which new worlds are born. Change never begins outside of you. What you see in your outer world is merely the reflection of what has already taken place within your inner being. Every visible transformation is an echo of an invisible shift, a change in awareness, in belief, in feeling. Life does not move first, you do. The moment your inner state changes, the world around you must respond, for it has no choice but to reflect the vibration you hold. This is the great secret of creation. Reality mirrors consciousness. Nothing in your outer experience stands alone. Every event, every encounter, every pattern that repeats itself is the projection of your inner assumptions. When those assumptions shift, when you stop expecting disappointment and begin expecting blessings, life reorganizes itself to match that new state. What once seems fixed begins to move. What was stagnant starts to flow. People change, doors open, and opportunities emerge not by coincidence, but by correspondence. The inner shift is subtle but powerful. It often begins as a small flicker, a quiet thought like, maybe things can be different. That thought, when nurtured, becomes a belief. That belief becomes a feeling. And that feeling becomes a frequency that calls forth a new reality. The universe does not respond to your words alone. It responds to the vibration of your being. The energy you radiate determines the experiences you attract. So if you want to see change, do not chase it outside yourself. Turn inward. Ask, what am I assuming about life? What am I believing about myself? Because the moment you dare to feel differently about who you are and what is possible, a new world begins forming around you, even if you can't see it yet. The shift always happens first in the unseen. You may notice that things start to fall away. Certain relationships, habits, or circumstances may dissolve. That is not loss, it is alignment. The old reality cannot coexist with the new vibration you've chosen. When your inner frequency rises, anything not in harmony with it must naturally fade. It's the universe's way of making room for what's next. Do not be alarmed by temporary chaos. Sometimes life must rearrange itself before it can reveal the beauty of the new order. Trust that the shaking is not destruction, it is creation in motion. The structure of your old life is simply adjusting to match your awakened state. You are not becoming something new, you are remembering what you have always been. The power that creates worlds is within you, quietly transforming thought into form. Every time you choose faith over fear, gratitude over worry, love over resistance, the world subtly bends to meet your choice. So rest in the knowing that the change you've been waiting for has already begun, not out there, but within you. And as that inner light grows stronger, the outer world will catch up, reflecting the peace, abundance, and joy you've already claimed in consciousness. Life has no choice but to mirror the truth of your new vibration, for creation always begins from the inside out. Every moment of your life is guided by a power far greater than you can see. Nothing has been wasted, and nothing has been random. Everything has been preparation for this awakening. The unseen power has been moving through your thoughts, your feelings, and your faith, shaping the path ahead long before you ever walked it. The silence was not emptiness, it was divine activity. The waiting was not delay, it was alignment. Now the shift has already begun within you. You can feel it. That quiet certainty that something extraordinary is unfolding. As you trust more, as you release control, as you hold the feeling that it is already done, life begins to unfold in perfect order. Every circumstance rearranges itself to match the vibration of your new awareness. So walk forward in faith, speak with conviction, live from the end as though your desire is already fulfilled, because in truth it is. The hand of God is moving through your consciousness, orchestrating every detail, and every piece is falling perfectly into place. This is your moment of divine transformation. The unseen is becoming seen, the impossible is becoming possible, and everything is about to change for you. Thank you for listening. May you walk in faith, live in awareness, and trust always in the divine order that is moving in your favor.
Good evening, my cherished friends. Tonight I want to share with you what might be the most practical yet revolutionary principle I have ever discovered about manifestation. It's a concept so simple that you'll understand it immediately, yet so powerful that it will transform every desire you've ever held and every dream you've ever dared to dream. Imagine for a moment that you're standing outside a magnificent mansion, looking through the windows at the beautiful life happening inside. You can see the elegant furnishings, the warmth of the fireplace, the joy of the family gathered around the dinner table. You admire it, you want it, you think about how wonderful it would be to live there, but you remain outside, separated by the glass, observing someone else's life. Now imagine instead that you're sitting in that very mansion, feeling the warmth of the fire on your skin, tasting the delicious meal, laughing with your loved ones around that same table. You're not thinking about the beautiful life, you're living it from the inside. This, my friends, is the difference between thinking about your desires and thinking from your desires. And tonight I'm going to show you that this distinction isn't just poetic. It's the very mechanism by which consciousness creates reality. There's a secret hidden in the way successful people naturally think, a pattern that unsuccessful people consistently miss. It's not what they think about, it's where they think from. Tonight I'm going to reveal this secret and show you how to shift from thinking about your desires to thinking from your desires, a shift that will collapse time, eliminate struggle, and make manifestation as natural as breathing. The revelation that changed my understanding forever came through observing a remarkable woman who seemed to manifest everything she desired with effortless ease. While others struggled and strained to attract their good, she simply lived as if all her dreams were already fulfilled. When I asked her the secret of her success, she said something that initially puzzled me, but later revolutionized my entire approach to teaching consciousness. She said, "Neville, I don't think about being wealthy. I think from wealth. I don't think about being loved. I think from love. I don't think about being successful. I think from success. Most people exhaust themselves thinking about what they want. I rest in thinking from what I am." At first, this seemed like mere wordplay. But as I pondered her statement, I began to understand the profound difference between these two orientations of mind. When you think about something, you position yourself as separate from it, observing it from a distance. When you think from something, you position yourself as one with it, experiencing it from the inside. Let me illustrate this with a simple example. When you think about being in Paris, you imagine yourself there from your current location. You see pictures of the Eiffel Tower. You plan your trip, you anticipate the experience. But when you think from being in Paris, you feel the cobblestones beneath your feet. You smell the cafe aromas. You hear the French conversations around you. You're not imagining Paris. You're experiencing Paris from within Paris. This distinction, thinking about versus thinking from, is the difference between wanting and having, between hoping and knowing, between seeking and finding. After my conversation with this wise woman, I began to observe how people approach their desires. I noticed that those who struggled with manifestation were consistently thinking about their goals, analyzing them, planning for them, working toward them, but always from the position of not having them. Meanwhile, those who manifested easily were thinking from their fulfilled desires, making decisions from that consciousness, feeling from that reality, living from that assumption. A young man came to see me who had been unsuccessfully trying to manifest financial abundance for 2 years. He said, "Neville, I think about money constantly. I think about how much I need, how I could earn it, what I would do with it, how different my life would be if I had it. But the more I think about money, the more absent it seems to become." I said to him, "You have just identified the source of your struggle. You are thinking about money from the consciousness of not having money. But consciousness cannot create what it is thinking about. It can only create what it is thinking from. You must learn to think from abundance rather than about abundance." "But how can I think from having money when I clearly don't have it?" he asked. I explained, money is not paper and coins. Money is a state of consciousness. Abundance is not a bank balance. Abundance is a way of being. When you think from abundance, you make decisions as an abundant person would make them. You feel as an abundant person would feel. You assume as an abundant person would assume. The external money becomes a natural expression of the internal abundance. I taught this young man to shift his entire mental orientation. Instead of thinking about money from the consciousness of lack, he learned to think from money, to think as money would think if money were conscious. I said to him, "When you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to feel the deep security that comes from knowing your bills are easily paid. Feel the calm confidence of someone whose bank account never causes anxiety. When you walk into a store, feel the freedom of someone who can buy what they truly desire without checking the price. When making decisions, ask yourself, what would someone with abundant resources choose here? Don't think about having money. Inhabit the emotional state of someone for whom money flows naturally and consistently." He began to feel abundant before he had the external evidence. Instead of feeling stressed about bills, he practiced feeling the relief of someone whose finances were handled. Instead of feeling restricted by his budget, he practiced feeling the expansiveness of someone with financial freedom. Instead of making decisions from financial fear, he began making decisions from financial confidence. The change was remarkable. Within months, opportunities began appearing that he had never seen before. Business ventures that had been struggling suddenly flourished. People began offering him financial partnerships and investment opportunities. His external reality shifted to match his internal shift from thinking about abundance to thinking from abundance. But this principle extends far beyond financial manifestation. It applies to every area of life: health, relationships, career, creativity, spiritual development. The question is always the same. Are you thinking about your desire or thinking from your desire? Let me share with you the story of a woman who had been battling illness for years. She came to me exhausted from fighting her condition. "Neville," she said, "I think about being healthy all the time. I research treatments. I visualize my body healing. I affirm my wellness, but I still feel sick. What am I doing wrong?" I observed that while she was thinking about health, she was thinking about it from the consciousness of sickness. Her thoughts about health were actually reinforcing her identity as a sick person who wanted to be well. Instead of thinking about health, I suggested, begin thinking from health. I want you to wake up each morning and feel the vitality coursing through your body, not as hope for the future, but as present reality. Feel the strength in your muscles, the clarity in your mind, the energy that wants to express through movement and activity. When you eat, taste your food with the appreciation of someone whose body processes nutrition perfectly. When you exercise, feel the joy of a body that loves to move and is naturally strong. When making health decisions, ask yourself, what would someone in perfect health naturally choose? Don't monitor your symptoms from sickness. Experience your body from wellness. This woman learned to inhabit the consciousness of perfect health. Instead of checking how she felt each morning with the anxiety of someone who expected problems, she began feeling into her body with the gratitude of someone experiencing vitality. Instead of eating foods while worried about their effects, she began enjoying meals with the confidence of someone whose body thrived. Instead of resting from exhaustion, she began resting from satisfaction with a body that worked beautifully. The transformation was profound. Not only did her physical condition improve dramatically, but her entire relationship with her body changed. She stopped experiencing herself as someone fighting illness and began experiencing herself as someone expressing health. The healing felt natural rather than miraculous because she was thinking from health rather than about health. This brings us to one of the most crucial distinctions in all of consciousness work: the difference between the consciousness that seeks and the consciousness that finds, the consciousness that wants and the consciousness that has, the consciousness that becomes and the consciousness that is. When you think about your desires, you automatically position yourself in the consciousness of seeking, wanting, and becoming. When you think from your desires, you automatically position yourself in the consciousness of finding, having, and being. Most people spend their entire lives thinking about what they want, from the consciousness of not having it. They think about love from loneliness, about success from failure, about health from sickness, about abundance from lack. Then they wonder why their thinking doesn't produce the results they seek. But consciousness cannot transcend itself through thinking. A consciousness of lack cannot think its way into abundance. A consciousness of loneliness cannot think its way into love. A consciousness of sickness cannot think its way into health. You must shift the consciousness from which you think. I remember a businessman who had been struggling to grow his company for years. He said, "Neville, I think about success constantly. I study successful companies. I read business books. I analyze market trends, but my business remains stuck. I can't understand why all this thinking about success isn't creating success." I said to him, "You are thinking about success from the consciousness of struggle, but success cannot be thought into existence from struggle. It can only be expressed from the consciousness that already embodies success." I taught this man to shift from thinking about his business succeeding to thinking from his business being successful. Tomorrow morning, I said, I want you to walk into your office feeling the quiet confidence of a leader whose company is thriving. Feel the satisfaction of someone whose vision is already manifesting beautifully. When employees approach you with problems, receive them with the calm assurance of someone who knows that solutions flow naturally through successful enterprises. When making strategic decisions, feel into the wisdom of someone who has already built what you're building. Instead of hoping your next quarter will be profitable, feel the deep knowing of someone whose success is already established. Instead of analyzing why his company wasn't growing from a consciousness of struggle, he began to make decisions from the consciousness of a leader whose company was naturally expanding. Instead of studying other successful businesses from the outside, he began to think as the successful businessman he already was in consciousness. When challenges arose, instead of feeling overwhelmed, he felt the calm resourcefulness of someone for whom problems were simply opportunities for creative solutions. The shift was immediate and dramatic. His decision-making became more confident and strategic. His leadership style naturally evolved. His vision for the company expanded. And as his consciousness shifted, his business reality shifted to match within 18 months. His company had achieved the success he had been thinking about for years. This principle also reveals why so many people struggle with relationships. They think about love from loneliness, about partnership from separation, about connection from isolation. They spend their mental energy analyzing why they don't have love instead of experiencing the love they are. A wonderful example of this came through a woman who had been single for many years. She said, "Neville, I think about my ideal relationship constantly. I imagine the perfect partner. I visualize romantic scenarios. I affirm that love is coming to me. But I remain alone. Why isn't my thinking about love creating love in my life?" I explained to her that thinking about love from loneliness actually reinforces loneliness. Instead of thinking about being loved, I suggested begin thinking from being loved. Tomorrow I want you to wake up with the warm glow of someone who knows she is cherished beyond measure. Feel the gentle smile that comes from knowing you are someone's greatest treasure. When you move through your day, carry the graceful confidence of a woman who has never doubted her worth because she feels it reflected in loving eyes. When you meet new people, greet them with the open warmth of someone who has love to give because she is already so full of love. When making choices about your evening or weekend, ask yourself what would a deeply beloved woman naturally choose to do. Feel the security, the joy, the natural radiance of someone whose heart is completely fulfilled. This woman learned to inhabit the consciousness of being deeply loved. Instead of going to social events hoping to meet someone, she attended them with the contentment of someone whose heart was already full. Instead of analyzing every interaction for signs of romantic potential, she simply enjoyed connecting with people from a place of abundance rather than need. The results were beautiful. Within months, she met a man who was also thinking from love rather than about love. Their connection was natural and immediate because both were operating from the consciousness of love rather than the consciousness of seeking love. But perhaps the most profound application of this principle is in the area of spiritual development and self-realization. Most seekers spend years thinking about enlightenment, about consciousness, about their spiritual goals. But enlightenment cannot be achieved by thinking about it. It can only be recognized by thinking from it. This is why Jesus said, "I and my Father are one." He wasn't thinking about being divine, he was thinking from divinity. He wasn't seeking God, he was expressing God. He wasn't becoming spiritual, he was being spirit. When you think about your spiritual nature, you reinforce the illusion of separation between yourself and the divine. When you think from your spiritual nature, you recognize the truth of your eternal oneness with all that is. I knew a man who had been a spiritual seeker for decades, studying every teaching, attending every workshop, seeking every experience that promised enlightenment. He came to me frustrated and exhausted. "Neville," he said, "I've been thinking about God, consciousness, and truth for 30 years. I've analyzed every scripture, meditated for thousands of hours, and practiced every technique. But I still feel separate from the divine. What am I missing?" I said to him, "You are thinking about God from the consciousness of separation. But God cannot be found through thinking. God can only be expressed through being. Stop thinking about your divine nature and start thinking from divinity." This man learned to shift from seeking the divine to expressing the divine. Instead of thinking about consciousness, he began thinking as consciousness. Instead of trying to become spiritual, he began being the spirit he had always been. The transformation was immediate and lasting. He stopped seeking and started being. He stopped questioning and started knowing. He stopped trying to become enlightened and started expressing the enlightenment he had always been. Now you might wonder, how do you make this shift from thinking about to thinking from? How do you inhabit a consciousness you don't yet feel you possess? The secret lies in understanding that consciousness is not something you acquire, it's something you recognize. You don't need to become abundant to think from abundance. You need to recognize the abundance you already are. You don't need to become healthy to think from health. You need to acknowledge the perfect health that is your true nature. Every state of consciousness already exists within you. Your job is not to create these states, but to choose which state to think from. When you choose to think from love, you activate the love consciousness that has always been within you. When you choose to think from success, you activate the success consciousness that is your birthright. The practice is simple but requires consistency. Throughout your day, catch yourself thinking about your desires and consciously shift to thinking from them. When you notice yourself thinking about having money, shift to thinking from having money. When you catch yourself thinking about being healthy, shift to thinking from being healthy. Feel the difference in your energy, your emotions, your entire sense of self. Notice how thinking from your desires feels natural, peaceful, and empowering, while thinking about your desires feels effortful, anxious, and draining. But remember, this is not a mental technique. It's a recognition of truth. You are not pretending to be something you're not. You are remembering something you've always been. You are not creating a false identity. You are uncovering your true identity. When you think from love, you're not pretending to be loving. You're expressing the love you are. When you think from abundance, you're not faking prosperity. You're revealing the abundance that is your nature. When you think from health, you're not denying illness. You're affirming the wholeness that is your essence. So tonight I invite you to examine your mental habits. Notice where you've been thinking about your desires instead of from them. Observe how this creates a sense of separation between yourself and your good. Then begin to practice the art of thinking from. Choose one desire that is important to you and spend the next week thinking from its fulfillment rather than about its achievement. Notice how this shifts your energy, your actions, and your experience. Remember, consciousness cannot create what it thinks about, it can only express what it thinks from. You are not here to think your way to your desires. You are here to recognize that you are already what you desire. Think from love, and love expresses through you. Think from abundance, and abundance flows as you. Think from health, and health radiates from you. Think from success, and success becomes your natural expression. The secret is not in thinking harder about what you want. It's in thinking from what you are. Stop thinking about your dreams and start thinking from your dreams. Stop thinking about your potential and start thinking from your reality. You are not becoming what you desire. You are recognizing what you have always been. Think from this truth, and watch as your entire world transforms to reflect the consciousness you truly are. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
There comes a moment in every life when the path ahead feels slow, uncertain, or hidden. You pray, you believe, you sow seeds in faith, yet the harvest seems delayed. But hear this with your whole spirit. God's timing is never late. What looks like a pause to you is precision in the unseen realms. What appears silent is actually strategic. The victory you long for, the breakthrough you have been expecting, the manifestation you have been preparing for, it is already set in motion. You were never meant to force outcomes. You were meant to align with them. And alignment happens within, long before anything shifts without. When you assume the state of the fulfilled wish, when you walk, speak, and breathe from the end, you join yourself to the very reality you desire. That inner union is what calls the outer world into position. Life organizes itself around your conviction. Heaven responds to your inner acceptance. Your desire is not random. It is revelation. It is God whispering, "This is already yours. Claim it within." If it were not prepared for you, you would never have felt the pull toward it. Desire is permission. Desire is guidance. Desire is proof that something in the invisible has already been completed. So if you are in a season of waiting, do not misunderstand it. Waiting is not punishment. It is preparation. You are being shaped to hold what you asked for. The timing you think is slow is actually perfect. The route that seems delayed is the route that protects you, strengthens you, and positions you for a victory that lasts. Every challenge is clearing space. Every setback is refining your faith. Every closed door is redirecting you toward the exact path where your blessing lives. What feels like a detour is often the straightest path to divine fulfillment. Your job is not to question the hour. Your job is to embody the outcome. Feel the victory within before you witness it without. Enter the state of already having. Rest in the knowing that what belongs to you cannot be lost, and what is aligned with you cannot be delayed. When you stabilize your inner state, the outer will arrive with a swiftness that feels miraculous. Suddenly the phone call comes, the opportunity opens, the healing manifests, the restoration unfolds, not because something changed outside, but because you changed inside. And when the perfect moment arrives, and it will not feel like luck. It will feel like recognition. You will look at the blessing and say, of course, I have been living with this in my spirit long before it showed up in my world. Your victory is not on the way. Your victory is here, forming, aligning, moving toward visibility. Trust the timing. Hold the feeling. Live in the end. God is not delaying you. God is perfecting the moment prepared for you. Your victory is coming, closer than you think, faster than you imagine, and in a way that will remind you that the divine plan was always flawless. Divine timing is not a matter of chance, delay, or luck. It is a matter of alignment. Life is always responding to the state you occupy within yourself. What you seek, what you pray for, what you envision in your quietest moments is not waiting on the world to shift. It is waiting on you to become inwardly equal to the thing you desire. The moment your inner state matches the vibration, the feeling, the conviction of the fulfilled wish, the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself to reflect that inner transformation. Nothing in your life is truly withheld. What feels like waiting is simply a gap between who you are being internally and what you are asking for externally. You cannot stand in worry and receive peace. You cannot embody lack and attract abundance. You cannot rehearse doubt and expect certainty to manifest. Life mirrors your inner assumptions with absolute precision, not as punishment, but as a spiritual law that ensures your world always aligns with your dominant inner truth. Divine timing is perfect because it ensures that you receive what you desire only when you are able to sustain it, appreciate it, and expand from it. A blessing delivered too early becomes a burden. A breakthrough received prematurely collapses under the weight of unprepared hands. So when you feel delayed, understand that you are being shaped, not denied. The delay is the universe quietly whispering, I am preparing you to carry this without losing yourself. Your job is not to force anything into place. Your job is to inhabit the state of already having it. This inner embodiment is not wishful thinking. It is the creative act itself. When you close your eyes and feel the reality of your desire as though it is already here, you merge with it spiritually. And once that union is formed within, the material world must eventually reflect that union in form. This is why some people receive breakthrough seemingly overnight. The outer world was not slow. The inner shift happened suddenly, and the outer simply followed. The speed of manifestation is always tied to the speed at which your inner state aligns. It is not about time, it is about readiness. The moment your inner world reaches the same frequency as the outcome you seek, the manifestation appears so seamlessly that it feels predestined. Consider the way a radio works. The signal is always available, but you hear it only when you tune to the right frequency. Similarly, your desire is already complete in the unseen. You simply cannot experience it until you match it internally. When you tune into the feeling of fulfillment, when you inhabit the identity of the one who already has what you want, you become a match for what is already yours. This is divine timing, alignment, readiness, in agreement. When your heart, your imagination, and your belief stand unified in the state of the fulfilled desire, the world responds instantly. It delivers not because you begged or struggled, but because you became the person for whom that reality is natural. Your desire is not an accident, a random thought, or a passing wish. It is a revelation. The moment a true, persistent desire rises within you, it is spiritual proof that something already exists for you in the unseen realm. You would not long for something that had no possibility of expression. You would not feel drawn to a future that was not already prepared. It is not a future that was not already prepared. Desire is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the signal that the thing you want has already been created in potential and is now calling you toward it. Nothing in life begins on the outside. Everything starts within as an inner prompting, a feeling, an image, a longing. The desire itself is the first manifestation. It is the seed. When a seed is planted in soil, the presence of the seed is evidence that a tree is already encoded within it. So it is with your desires. The desire appearing in your mind is the seed appearing in your consciousness. Its presence means the outcome is already complete in essence, waiting only for your acceptance and alignment to bring it into form. This is why certain dreams feel so personal and powerful. You feel drawn to them, connected to them, almost as if you've known them before. That is because you have known them before. Within, they are part of your spiritual blueprint. They belong to you. Your desire is the echo of something that already exists in the unseen world, and your imagination is the doorway through which you experience it before it arrives physically. The doorway bears physically. When you understand this, desire stops feeling like longing and starts feeling like confirmation. You no longer ask, will this happen? Instead, you recognize, this is already mine, and I am aligning with it. You treat your desire not as a goal to chase, but as a reality to assume. You stop seeking proof outside and begin nurturing the certainty inside. The world often teaches that desire means lack, but spiritually, desire means possession. You can crave only what is already connected to you. If you were not meant to live it, you would not feel it. If it were not yours, the idea would never have been planted in your imagination. Your deepest desires are not fantasies, they are previews. The moment desire appears, creation is complete. The rest of the journey is simply becoming the version of yourself who can receive what is already established. You do this not through effort or force, but by accepting the desire as fulfilled within your inner world. Feel it done, live in the end. Let the emotional certainty replace all doubt, because the moment you accept it inwardly, you claim the unseen reality as yours, and life must eventually bring the physical reflection. Your desire is a divine signpost, guiding you toward what already belongs to you. It is not pointing to a possibility, it is pointing to a certainty. The unseen is more real than what you see with your eyes, and desire is the message that your blessing is already waiting. So honor your desires, trust them. They are not wishes, they are reminders of what is destined. If it rose within you, it is because it is already yours. simply waiting for you to claim it in consciousness so it can appear in your world. Delay is often misunderstood. We look at a postponed opportunity, a stalled dream, or a season of waiting, and immediately assume that life is withholding, that the universe has turned its back, or that our efforts are in vain. But in truth, delay is not denial, it is preparation. Every pause, every period of seeming inactivity is a sacred interval during which the universe is quietly orchestrating the conditions for your inevitable success. What appears as waiting is actually a highly intelligent process of alignment, arranging the people, circumstances, and possibilities necessary for your victory to arrive at the perfect moment. Life does not hand out blessings randomly. It does not drop opportunities into your lap without consideration. There is a divine intelligence at work, arranging elements in ways that ensure your breakthrough is complete, sustainable, and fulfilling. The delay you feel is part of this careful design, just as a master craftsman does not rush the creation of a masterpiece. Your life is being carefully prepared. Every person you meet, every experience you undergo, every closed door is part of a larger architecture meant to support the fulfillment of your desire. It is vital to understand that delay is never a punishment. It is not a reflection of your inadequacy or a signal of rejection. Rather, it is a sign that the universe is meticulously calibrating everything around you so that when the moment of manifestation arrives, you are fully equipped to receive it. The people who will help you, the opportunities that will lift you, and the circumstances that will make your victory inevitable are all being positioned without your conscious effort. There is only one variable, a thing that is always there but not within view of your effort. Your job is not to rush or push against the delay, but to trust it and remain aligned with your vision. During this period, your inner state is being refined. Patience, faith, resilience, and clarity are cultivated when you understand that the pause is a preparation, not a denial. When you accept delay as a necessary stage, you stop resisting life and instead begin to harmonize with it. This harmony allows you to recognize and seize the opportunities when they arrive, fully ready to step into the victory that has been waiting for you. Consider the timing of nature. The seed does not demand an early harvest. It rests in the soil, absorbing nutrients and growing roots unseen before it bursts forth in perfect time. Your life operates on the same principle. Every delay is feeding the roots of your success, ensuring that the outcome you desire is strong, stable, and lasting. So when the world seems slow, when doors remain closed, when progress feels delayed, remember that you are not being denied, you are being prepared. Trust in the unseen orchestration of life. Allow yourself to remain aligned with the feeling of already having what you seek. The universe is moving quietly, skillfully, and perfectly behind the scenes, arranging every detail so that when your moment comes, your victory arrives fully formed, undeniable, and breathtaking. Delay is not denial. Delay is preparation. And your perfect moment is coming, already in motion, already unfolding, already ready for you to claim it. Everything you experience in life is a reflection of what you assume to be true in your mind. Your inner assumptions, your beliefs, your feelings, your mental images are the invisible blueprint from which all outer reality is constructed. Life does not merely react to your words or your actions, it reacts first to your inner state, what you assume to be real, what you live with as a certainty in your imagination. becomes the lens through which the world manifests itself to you. If you assume scarcity, limitation, or failure, the world will conform to that expectation. If you assume abundance, possibility, and victory, the world will yield evidence of those assumptions. To live in the end mentally is to inhabit the reality of your desire before it manifests physically. It is not pretending, wishing, or hoping. It is knowing, feeling, and accepting that what you desire is already yours. This inner state is powerful because it communicates with the unseen realm. It impresses the subconscious mind, which governs all outward experiences, and begins to organize circumstances, opportunities, and people to align with that mental assumption. Your inner certainty is the magnet. The world is merely the reflection. Many people look outward for proof of their desires. They wait for circumstances to change, for others to act, for opportunities to appear, and they interpret delays as denial. But this is backward. The outer world is always secondary. It is your inner assumption that drives the outer result. When you live in the end, mentally and emotionally, you establish a frequency that attracts the exact conditions needed for your desire to appear. The outer world must eventually match the inner reality, because that is the law governing consciousness and manifestation. Living in the end means you immerse yourself in the feeling of the fulfilled desire. You imagine it vividly with all the sensory and emotional details, and you allow yourself to dwell in that reality consistently. You speak, act, and think as if it is already true. In doing so, you impress the subconscious mind, which does not differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. It accepts your assumption as fact and begins to create the pathways through which it will manifest. The beauty of this process is that you do not have to see how it will happen. You do not have to plan every step or understand every detail. All that is required is the sustained inner assumption. Life, responding to the certainty you maintain, will arrange everything necessary for your desire to appear. People, opportunities, timing, and events all fall into place because the universe is reflecting your inner conviction. Your inner assumption is the ultimate architect of your reality. When you assume the state of having, being, or achieving, you are planting the seed of manifestation. The outer world is bound to reflect the certainty you carry within. As you live in the end mentally, you watch the physical world rearrange itself to mirror what has already been accomplished in consciousness. Every circumstance, every encounter, every event becomes a confirmation of your inner state. The power is in your mind. The shaping force is your assumption. Live in the end, hold the feeling of the fulfilled desire, and watch life respond with perfect alignment. What you assume to be true within inevitably arrives without, because the universe cannot resist the certainty of a mind fully convinced. Trust is the key that transforms the tension of waiting into a force of power and creation. When you wait for your desires to manifest, it is natural for the mind to question the timing. Why is this taking so long? When will it happen? Am I missing something? These questions, though understandable, are the very thing that blocks the flow of your blessings. They reveal doubt and disbelief, and doubt is always a form of resistance. The moment you stop questioning when and surrender to the certainty that what you desire is already on its way, you step into the flow of divine orchestration, a current of life that moves with perfect precision to deliver what is rightfully yours. Waiting without trust is a heavy, draining experience. You feel impatient, frustrated, or even fearful. You scrutinize every circumstance, trying to force results, trying to control the timing, and trying to make the invisible visible according to your schedule. But waiting with trust is entirely different. When you trust, waiting becomes an active, creative state. It is not passive or hopeless. You are not sitting idly by, hoping for a miracle. Instead, you are aligned with the unseen, confident that the timing is exact, and your faith turns every moment of waiting into preparation, refinement, and empowerment. Trust allows you to release the illusion of control. You no longer feel the need to micromanage every detail, every outcome, every event. You stop forcing doors that are not ready to open and stop straining toward opportunities that have not yet matured. Instead, you allow life to orchestrate itself according to a higher intelligence, one that sees all factors, all people, and all moments in a way that is far beyond your understanding. And this is the essence of divine orchestration, the universe working quietly and skillfully behind the scenes, arranging every circumstance for your benefit, often in ways you cannot yet perceive. When you trust, your waiting is transformed into power because you are no longer depleted by resistance. Your energy is preserved, concentrated, and directed inward. You begin to embody the reality you are waiting for. You imagine it, feel it, and assume it as if it is already present. The inner certainty you cultivate during this period creates an unshakable foundation. By the time the manifestation arrives, you are not only ready to receive it, but you are also fully aligned to expand it and sustain it. Trust also opens your awareness to opportunities you might otherwise overlook. When you stop questioning when, your mind is free to notice synchronistic events, people, and moments that are actually part of the divine plan. You begin to recognize the subtle guidance in everyday life and see that nothing is random. Every encounter, every closed door, every delay is part of a larger design leading directly to your fulfillment. The power of trust lies in its ability to shift your inner state from impatience and doubt to calm confidence and certainty. Waiting is no longer a test of endurance. It becomes a period of preparation, alignment, and inner mastery. When you trust fully, you merge with the flow of divine timing, and what once felt like waiting now feels like a potent creative force moving you inexorably toward your victory. Trust transforms waiting into power. Stop questioning when, release the need to control, and step into the certainty that life is orchestrating everything perfectly. In this state, you are no longer waiting, you are already receiving. Victory is not a matter of chance, luck, or external circumstances. It is a certainty for the one who believes. Belief is not a fleeting hope or wishful thinking. It is a deep, unwavering conviction that what you desire is already yours. When you hold an image, a feeling, or a state faithfully in your imagination, you are engaging with the very law that governs creation. This is a spiritual law, a principle as real and unchanging as gravity. Whatever is sustained and accepted as true within the mind and heart must eventually manifest in the outer world. Victory, therefore, is not contingent on timing, effort, or outside validation. It is inevitable for those who maintain their inner certainty. The mind is the creative engine of life, and imagination is its most powerful tool. When you see yourself victorious in your mind, when you feel the satisfaction, the joy, and the fulfillment of that victory as if it has already occurred, you are planting a seed in the unseen realm. The seed is already complete, perfect, and whole. Your job is simply to nurture it in consciousness, until it is reflected in the material world. There is no force in the universe capable of resisting the persistent, faithful assumption of the fulfilled desire. To believe in this way is not to deceive yourself. It is to recognize and participate in the truth of your spiritual power. Many people give up too soon. They stop believing when circumstances appear contrary, when delays persist, or when challenges arise. But the spiritual law does not fail, and victory does not depend on external evidence. What matters is that the inner state of belief remains unshaken. Your imagination, faithfully occupied with the reality of your success, creates a vibrational reality that the outer world cannot help but conform to. Obstacles are temporary, conditions are secondary, and doubts are powerless against the force of consistent inner faith. Belief is a force that transcends time and space. It bridges the gap between what is seen and what is unseen, between the present moment and the reality you're creating. By maintaining a clear, focused, and faithful vision in your mind, you establish a magnetic field that draws people, circumstances, and opportunities into alignment with your imagined state. This is why victory comes to those who persist in belief, because the universe responds to the energy of faith, not to the arguments of doubt. To hold your vision faithfully is to live as though victory has already been achieved. Speak, act, and think from the place of triumph. Let your emotions reflect the fulfillment of your desire. By doing so, you are not passively waiting for life to change. You are actively creating the conditions for your success. The more faithfully you hold the inner reality, the faster and more inevitably it appears. Victory is inevitable for the one who believes. It is not a wish, a hope, or a possibility. It is a certainty dictated by spiritual law. Whatever is held with faith and conviction in imagination must appear. Your belief is the seed, your imagination is the soil, and your faithful attention is the sunlight. Nurture it, and life will bring forth the harvest. There is no other law more powerful, no principle more unwavering. Hold the vision, live it, believe it, and your victory will manifest exactly as it must, because in the unseen, it already exists, waiting only for your faithful acknowledgement to take form in the world. In conclusion, the journey to your victory is not defined by the speed of events around you, but by the alignment, faith, and certainty you cultivate within. Divine timing is flawless, and every delay is simply preparation for the perfect moment. Your desires are proof of what already exists in the unseen, and the state you assume in your imagination shapes the reality that unfolds. Trust transforms waiting into power, and when you hold your vision faithfully, victory becomes inevitable. Everything you long for is already on its way. All that is required is your unwavering belief, your inner alignment, and your willingness to live as though it is already done. Thank you.